21 years ago, on a bright spring morning in Chevy Chase, Maryland, life was calm and predictable. The streets were lined with trees, students walked to school, and commuters sipped their coffee while heading to work. Among them was Leslie Prier, a 49-year-old account executive at Specialities, Inc., known for her kindness, reliability, and warm personality. To everyone around her, life was orderly, and crime was rare. But that morning, behind the red brick facade of 4824 Drummond Avenue, an unimaginable horror would unfold. May 2nd, 2001 began like any other day. Leslie had her usual routine, woke early, prepared for work, and got ready to leave by 9 a.m. Her husband, Colry Sandy Prier, left for work at 7:45 a.m., unaware that within hours, his world would be shattered. Leslie never arrived at her office, prompting concern. By 10:30 a.m., her boss, Brett Reedy, realized something was wrong. Leslie was punctual, diligent, and responsible. She would never simply disappear without explanation. He attempted to reach her by phone, and when there was no response, he contacted family. Her daughter Lauren was away at university, and Sandy was unreachable. Anxiety began to build. Sandy rushed home from work, arriving at 11:35 a.m., only to find the front door unlocked. Inside, the scene was nightmarish. Blood streaked the hallway, a rug was dragged into the living room, and a table was overturned. Panic-stricken, Sandy searched the house, finding only the family dog locked in the basement. Brett dialed 911 as Sandy called local hospitals, hoping against hope that Leslie was unharmed. The officers arrived shortly after and discovered Leslie's body in the master bathroom shower, lying face down in a shallow puddle of water. At first, authorities considered the possibility of an accident. Could a fall in the foyer have led to this tragic ending? However, the autopsy painted a far darker picture. Leslie had 7 lacerations on her head, bruises on her torso, and hemorrhaging around her neck. She had been strangled, battered, and then moved to the shower. Whoever committed this crime had attempted to clean up, possibly to stage an accidental fall, but forensic evidence revealed swipes and dabs of blood throughout the foyer, kitchen, and downstairs bathroom. Further analysis revealed 3 separate blood samples belonging to an unidentified male, along with DNA under Leslie's fingernails, proving she had fought back. The killer had a narrow window to act. Sandy left the house at 7:45 a.m., and Leslie would have been alone until she left for work around 9 a.m. This hour and 15 minutes were enough for someone who knew the house, and perhaps Leslie herself, to commit the crime, stage the scene, and attempt a cleanup. Yet the sudden arrival of Brett and Sandy likely forced the intruder to flee, leaving behind blood traces that would later become the key to solving the case. Despite the collected evidence, the case quickly went cold. DNA collected did not match any known profiles in the national database, leaving investigators with no immediate leads. Leslie's husband was cleared, but suspicion and grief lingered until his death in 2017. Years passed, but the case never faded from memory. Advances in forensic science finally offered new hope. Genetic genealogy, which uses DNA from crime scenes to trace relatives and construct family trees, had already solved hundreds of cold cases across the country. In September 2022, Montgomery County investigators submitted the preserved DNA found under Leslie's fingernails to a specialized lab. The results pointed to a distant relative living in Romania, which allowed detectives to work backwards through genealogical data and identify a possible suspect living in the United States. Eugene Gleigor. Eugene's connection to the Prier family was unexpected. He had once been the boyfriend of Leslie's daughter, Lauren, during their teenage years. Leslie had welcomed him into their home, trusting the young man she considered part of her extended family. By the morning of Leslie's murder, Eugene had been 21, working in Washington, D.C., and living in the area. Though his name had surfaced in the initial investigation, his history of minor youthful offenses, apparent personal reform, and lack of motive led original investigators to dismiss him as a suspect. The breakthrough came when investigators covertly collected Eugene's DNA in June 2024. After returning from a trip abroad, Eugene discarded a water bottle that investigators later tested, confirming a match to the DNA found at the crime scene. This revelation finally provided the evidence needed to bring him in for questioning. On June 18, 2024, Eugene was apprehended outside his apartment, calmly drinking coffee and scrolling on his phone, seemingly unaware of the storm about to engulf him. During the interrogation, officers presented the DNA evidence collected from the water bottle. Eugene claimed he had no recollection of the crime, feigning confusion and attempting to buy time. His responses were careful, measured, and rehearsed, designed to create the impression of innocence. But the evidence was undeniable. Blood found under Leslie's fingernails, traces in the foyer, and residual DNA throughout the home confirmed his presence during the fatal attack. For nearly a quarter of a century, Eugene had maintained the illusion of a mild-mannered, generous, and community-focused man, fooling family, friends, and colleagues. This revelation shocked the Prier family and the wider community. Eugene had carefully curated a persona of charm and calm, making the horrifying reality of his actions almost impossible to reconcile. Former spouses and acquaintances, while noting temper and occasional aggression, had never suspected him capable of murder. Even Lauren, who had once defended Eugene against accusations in his youth, struggled to process that someone she had trusted and welcomed into her home could commit such a heinous act. The motive for Leslie's murder remains speculative. There were no signs of premeditation, no weapon brought to the scene, and no forced entry. It appears Eugene may have acted impulsively, perhaps intending a burglary that escalated into violence. Previous juvenile offenses suggested a capacity for recklessness and poor judgment, and his panic upon encountering Leslie may have triggered the fatal attack. Whether the violence was an expression of anger, fear, or uncontrollable impulse, only Eugene truly knows why he acted as he did. In May 2025, Eugene Gleigor pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, acknowledging that he had taken Leslie's life without premeditation. He now faces up to 30 years in prison. State Attorney John McCarthy stated, "It doesn't bring Leslie back, but now they know who did it. There's no such thing as closure, but I'm proud of what we do together. And I'm proud of our continuing search to find creative ways to make people in this community safer." The Leslie Prier case highlights the evolution of forensic science and the persistence of investigators. Genetic genealogy, combined with modern DNA collection methods and meticulous detective work, finally brought resolution to a case that had baffled authorities for more than 2 decades. For the community and for her family, the revelation was both painful and necessary. It confirmed the truth about Leslie's death while providing a measure of accountability. For Lauren and the Prier family, the journey has been long and emotionally taxing. The shock of betrayal, grief, and the struggle to reconcile the person they knew with the one who committed this crime remains heavy. Yet the identification and guilty plea of Eugene Gleigor bring hope that justice can eventually prevail, even after decades. The sentencing on August 28, 2025, is anticipated as a pivotal moment, offering the family a chance, however limited, to confront the truth and move toward healing. Leslie Prier's case highlights the need for vigilance, patience, and the relentless pursuit of justice. It shows how evil can hide behind charm, and how modern forensic technology can solve cold cases once thought unsolvable. Every detail at a crime scene, especially DNA, can reveal long-hidden truths. Her story honors the dedication of investigators and the power of science, preserving her memory while bringing closure to her family and community, proving that even decades later, justice can be served. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.